Today was a day that was full of imagery. The language that we use, it's at its best when we use images and concrete ideas to express what we want to say. And so tonight I want to highlight some of the things that came up in our speeches that really add impact. So that as you're putting your speeches together, you have some food for thought. Not literal food, images.
But we got cake.
But we did get cake. Very nice. So when we talk about these kinds of images, I want you to think about our icebreaker speech tonight. She talked about, let's rewind. Let's rewind. Now this is kind of an image of itself because you think about old cassettes, VHSs. You would have to rewind them. And so she's talking about that with time, combining it. Very nice. Or Kelly talked about, when you get a lot of money, it turns up the volume of your personality. Now, there's no literal volume to your personality unless you're Paul. There's not. But this kind of image, it gives you something really concrete. Because she could have just said, money will reveal your real personality. But there's something about saying, turn up the volume. You can imagine this dial and something growing more intense. Another speech, Eric mentioned that nature is a bridge. Is nature a bridge? Not literally, but it connected him to something, so therefore it's a bridge. But you have this kind of language that really sticks out because it's kind of unusual. Not unusual in a bad way, just unusual. Or in his speech, he talked about something being sappy. Well, when we talk about sap, it's something from a tree, right? It's something sticky. And if you look at the word, we typically now, we don't really talk about something necessarily being sappy as like, oh, this is really sticky. We talk about it being sentimental. It's a sappy story. But you hear sappy, you think of something sticky, and it's kind of like nian nian de. It's a sappy story. And this came up in Chinese as well. So for example, Iris, 她在讲那个青光眼，她怎么描述它？势利，小偷。等一下，他是人吗？他真的能够偷什么东西吗？他有手吗？没有。但是你说小偷，他就是更有画面。或者比如说，今天也说健康是财务。真的吗？他有钱吗？他有价值吗？可能有。但是你这样说就是更有画面。你是我的眼。要是一个人真的是我的眼睛，好可怕。但是你这样说就感觉很浪漫，因为更具体。人生是旅游。Life is a trip. These sorts of expressions add a lot of language. It adds a lot of images to what you want to share. And I think it's really good. So my encouragement to you is to continue to add these kinds of images in your speeches. Now, a couple of other things I wanted to hit because I thought they were interesting. In Eric's speech, not that Eric, this Eric. Wait, where did the Eric shoot?
Took a train to North India.
Took a train. 人生是 okay. But something that I noticed was in his speech, he was talking to people that were on the train, and they said, 我们要找到一个工作. It's kind of sad when 20 people want to find 一个工作. Most of the time in Chinese, as far as I'm aware, 我们要找工作. 不用数. That's kind of the nice thing about Chinese. You don't have to worry about counting things necessarily. And that was pretty much it that stood out for me in Chinese. I just thought that was really interesting with numbers. So again, when you're doing speeches, try to use images. And the other thing too is, as I noticed, especially in the one Chinese speech, India and traveling, there wasn't the same level of intensity I hear from like Iris, who's just like throwing in every chengyu and every little thing she can say. And I think that for really strong Chinese speeches, images in particular are very important. So that's a nice way to lift up your speech. So when you're writing your speeches, especially, think about how can I make this more visual? Because with greater visuals are more impact.